Hi guys, my name is Kendra Morris and welcome to my podcast, Behind the Lens. Today I'm going to be talking about the process of creating our short film, Until I See Her Again, the challenges we faced, and how my production skills developed throughout this project. I was mainly the camera operator for our film, and through this experience I learned a lot about how difficult filmmaking actually is and how much work goes on behind the scenes. But before I get into that, I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor. This podcast is sponsored by Forever Frame, a company that prints and preserves photos so people can hold on to their most important memories. This relates to our film because one of the most important props in our film is the picture frame of the main character and her mom. And that photo represents memories, love, and loss, and it's what triggers the flashback in our film. Our film is really about memories and wishing you can go back in time, so Photo Memory Company connects really well to the message and themes of her story. So, first, I want to talk about how we formed our group. We mostly chose each other because we already knew each other and felt comfortable working together. And in our class, most people already had their groups, and since we're all somewhat friends, we decided to just work together. And honestly, I think this helped a lot because everyone was easy to work with and we didn't really have a lot of conflict. And when we had to make decisions, we would just talk it out and come to an agreement. It was really easy to discuss if we didn't agree with something. So that was the best thing I would say about our group. So our film fits into multiple genres. The main genres we used were fantasy, high school drama, and coming of age. And we tried to include different conventions from each genre so that it was clear what type of film we were making. So for the fantasy genre, we included the genie's lamp, which is a magical object that allowed the main character to go back into time to try and save her mom. And fantasy films usually include magical objects, supernatural elements, or things that wouldn't really happen in real life. So the genie's lamp represents the fantasy part of our film the most. So for the high school genre, we showed a teenage girl in her room getting ready for school, doing her makeup, listening to music, and later hanging out with her friends. And these are all typical conventions of a high school drama, mainly just because they show everyday teenage life, friendships, and personal problems. Our film is also a coming of an age story because the main character is dealing with grief and regret after her mom's death, and she wants to go back into time to change the past. Coming of age films usually focus mainly on a character's growing emotionally or learning something important about life. And our character is dealing with loss and learning to cope with it, so our film fits into all three of these the most, or the best, I would say. And at the beginning of the project, I thought filmmaking was mostly just recording scenes and putting them together, but I realized really quickly that it's a lot more complicated than that. You have to think about lighting, camera angles, sound, editing, and mise-en-scène, which is basically everything you see in the frame, like props, costumes, and the setting. And I realized that even small details can change how the scene feels and how the audience understands the story. After we came up with the idea, we started working on the storyboard. This was honestly one of the hardest parts because we had to plan every single shot and think about camera angles and lighting. On paper, our ideas made so much sense, but when we actually started filming, we realized that some of the shots were hard to do in real life. For example, we had to figure out where to put the camera so there wouldn't be weird shadows, and we also had to make sure the lighting stayed the same. So on the topic of that, we also learned that filming takes a lot longer than you think, and sometimes the sun would start to set while we were filming. So this caused a lot of lighting change, and this messed up our continuity a lot. But my role in the group was mainly the camera operator, so I recorded most of the film. I also helped figure out how certain scenes should be filmed and helped with some of the editing too. And being in charge of the camera helped me learn a lot about framing shots and choosing angles. I learned that different camera angles can show different emotions. For example, close-up shots are really good for showing emotion, and wide shots are good for showing the setting and what's going on in the scene. We filmed at Caitlin's house because her room looked like a normal teenage girl's room, and she has a vanity mirror, which was perfect for the getting ready scene. Scheduling was a little bit difficult for our second filming day because everyone had busy schedules, and I actually got called into work last minute, so it was harder to find a time where everyone was free. This showed me that filmmaking is not just about filming, but it's also a lot about planning and time management. When it came to decision making, our group would just share ideas and then decide together. If we liked the idea, we used it. If we didn't, we would change it or come up with something better. Our group was actually really easy to work with, which made the process a lot less stressful. Editing and revisions were mainly done by me and Caitlin, but also Natalie and Jiraiya added their own little revisions as well if they didn't like something. But we would send our edits to the group chat and ask everybody what they thought. We also got a lot of peer reviews and feedback from the teacher and our classmates, and we used that to improve our film. One problem we had was that some people didn't really understand our film without background knowledge, so we had to change some things to make the story more clear. And this made me realize that it's actually really hard to tell a story through film and make sure the audience understands it the way that you want them to. But the biggest thing I learned from this project is, like I said, that filmmaking is a lot harder than it looks. Just thinking about lighting, sound, camera angles, timing, and editing, and also whether the audience will understand the story, like I said. I also learned that sometimes your ideas don't turn out the way you imagined, and you have to change things and adapt. But if I were to do this project again, I would probably plan the storyboard more carefully and make the story a little clearer so the audience doesn't get confused. I would also plan filming times better so we wouldn't have problems with lighting changes as we were filming, especially the sun setting. But overall, this project really changed the way I see filmmaking. Before this, I thought it was just recording scenes, but now I understand how much planning, teamwork, and technical skill it actually takes. And even though it was challenging, I'm really, really, really proud of what we made. And I learned a lot from this experience. But anyways, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in to Behind the Lens, and catch you guys again next time. Bye.